everyone, welcome to the Horror Realm. I'm Travis Bruce, and today I have a returning guest with us here today. He's an author, and he has a new book out right now that you can find on unveilingnightmares.com as well as Amazon, Kindle. You can get paper or ebook. And it's called Strange Discovery and Other Strange Discoveries. I have with us Brian J. Smith. Brian, welcome back to the Horror Realm.
Thank you for having me, bud. It's always a pleasure to be on here.
Brother, you know you always got a spot on my show, man. Anytime.
No, my brother's trying to get his book done, so I just may throw him your way too.
Oh, listen, bring him on, man. So tell us a little bit about Strange Discovery and Other Strange Discoveries.
Well, it's a short story collection. I've always loved short story collections since I was 11 and I read Night Shift. My mother lost her mind because I brought a Stephen King book home, and dear old dad, he's Johnny on the spot going, Candy, he used to watch Freddy and Jason, and you're going to lose it over this. Come on. And I've always enjoyed short story collections. I've always enjoyed anthologies, like multiple author ones. Even since I was like a teenager, it was all I would read would be anthologies. And I've always wanted to do my own short story collections. I've always wanted to do my own I've always wanted to be a part of anthologies and a part of collections, and I've always wanted to kind of do brand new things with them. You know, like some people have them go by like from when their first story to the recent one, and then or they just kind of like mix them up. This one's got a lot of weird, dark, strange tales. One of them's about trees that if you carve your initials on them, everybody who carves their initials on that tree shows up on your skin.
Ooh.
And there's one about a girl who wakes up in a basement. She doesn't know how she got there. There's one about a VHS tape that reveals a dark secret about two sisters. And my first ever short story is in this one too. The first one I ever got published is in this one. It's called A Day with Daddy. It's kind of in the realm of Twilight Zone.
I love short stories, and listen. I mean, you go by anthology, even with Tales from the Crypt, which I got somewhere on the wall.
Oh yeah, I've got all 7 seasons. I love it.
Creep Show. I mean, all that shit, man. I love it, and but I like it because it's a variety of stories, and sometimes the stories intertwine together to come to one big story at the end. Now, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Like the Twilight Zone. The original Twilight 100%. Zone. Oh my God, what the hell was Rod Serling? I would love to be in that man's house when he was like, you know what, I got an idea. And that man pushed a lot of envelopes with that show.
Yes.
He pushed a lot of envelopes.
Really? now, is it easier? I mean, listen, I talk to authors, and a lot of them say that it's easier to write a full length compared to short stories. Which I can imagine, because a short story, you have a X amount of time span to hit that beginning, middle, and end to give the audience, that fulfillment. Is it harder to write a short story?
Yeah, because somebody told me one time that a short story is like a 30-minute episode.
Mm-hmm.
You better hook them with the first 5 minutes. Like I said, if you look at Twilight Zone, you look at some of the things that Rod Serling did. Like, if you look at, I'm trying to think of an episode, The After Hours. She's going in the department store, she's going to buy a thimble, but why are they taking her up to a floor that doesn't exist?
Mm-hmm.
Why was she helped up by a woman who was a real life woman, but is now a mannequin? We're kind of intrigued, like, okay, what's going on here? And another thing with Monsters Are Due on Maple Street, or I think it's Monsters on Maple Street. That's actually Stephen King's favorite episode, in case you're ever wondering. He will credit that episode to a lot of things. And Rod Serling always kept you guessing. He always kept you hooked, like, What's going on here? The lights are flickering, cars are shutting off, cars are coming back on, lights are coming back on. And he always kept you intrigued. He always kept you like, okay, I got to find out what happens at the end of this here, because I'm like, confused, but yet I'm curious.
Exactly.
And Rod Serling always kept you curious about what happened next, what the outcome was, and that's what a lot of shows like Tales from the Crypt, Creep Show, Night Gallery, Tales from the Dark Side. A lot of those TV shows were so detrimental back then. They were so groundbreaking because this is something that has never been done before. This has never been done before. It's kind of like when people first watch Blair Witch, the Blair Witch Project. What's a found footage movie? This looks real. Did they actually die? And I think like I said, with short stories, it's like a 30-minute episode. And with a short story, you got at least 2 to 3 pages to hook these people before they go,
I agree.
Yeah. Never mind.
I agree.
Or they just go to something else.
Now, when it comes to coming up with these short stories, I mean, you're popping out ideas constantly. Now, how do you determine what story is going to be in which collection?
Well, I always like, a lot of people prefer first person stories. Like, I walked down the hallway, I ambled across the street. Some people prefer like third person, present tense, first person past tense, first person present tense. They always like to either be walking next to the character or be the character. And first person stories always hit more on a serious note, where it's, okay, this guy's going down this hallway and there's noises. Why are there noises? And he's kind of taking you along with him. Whereas third person, I've always thought it was like, remember the movie Unforgiven with Clint Eastwood?
Loved it, yes.
Okay, Saul Rubinek, the one that sits there and writes Richard Harris's biography, and then he ends up writing Gene Hackman's biography. That's pretty much what third person is to me. I'm standing next to the character and I'm writing down everything he's doing. And I always like a mix of third first. That way there, I know when I'm walking into a story, I know what to expect. I know this is first person. Okay, wow, okay. I'm following, this person's taking me up the basement stairs. This person's taking me outside to an apocalyptic world. Either one works, but I always like to throw in a mix. That way it's not the same thing every time,
Mm-hmm. Now, when you're coming up with the idea of these short stories, do you already have an ending in mind, or is that something that you have to work towards?
I have an ending, but usually the story goes, not today. We're going to end differently. Like, there was I'm trying to think which story it was in that collection. I think it's Jared was here, the one about the trees.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because this guy carved his initials and said Jared was here. So ever since he's done that, he's had people's initials or their little logos show up on his skin. And that story started out where the ending was he ended up turning into a tree that was outside of his. He walked out to the backyard and turned into a tree. And I thought, okay, that's a little far-fetched. And I tried to publish that thing like 3 times and nobody bought it. Nobody wanted anything to do with that version. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to do it like this here. We all know that people we have like nature people, people who consider trees to be monuments, to be, trees are important.
Yeah.
Oxygen. Without trees, we wouldn't have oxygen. We wouldn't have shade. We'd probably just burn up in the sun or something. But trees are very detrimental to our world. And
Mm-hmm.
by doing that, in a way, people kind of think you're hurting the tree.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, okay, if you're gonna scrawl stuff on me, I'm gonna do it back to you.
Do you?
So that was the weird and strange part. Is it just happening to him? And I detail how it happens to everybody, not just him. It's everybody who scrawls on any tree. And whatever this person draws, it shows up on your skin. Doesn't matter, And I wanted to go that route because I thought that would be kind of surreal to just have bloody etching show up on your skin and you can just feel it.
That's freaky. Yes.
You can feel somebody just, it's kind of like dragging a knife across your skin.
Now, when it comes to being an indie horror writer, right now, I mean, it's a huge surge of indie horror writers, and a lot of them is the first time they're new. Do you have to be pretty? I'm assuming you got to be pretty thick-skinned when it comes to becoming, especially an indie or writers just from period, because I mean, you can't be afraid of rejections or bad reviews, correct?
Yeah, no, you can't be afraid of bad reviews. Stephen King said, I put a nail in a wall next to my desk. I had so many rejections, the nail fell off the wall. So I got a bigger nail. And he just kept piling them on. And I got rejected. I did try to do a story for a October Nights Press anthology. I sent him one story, and that got rejected. I sent him two versions. I sent him the same story, but two different endings. And then I sent him a really nasty, I would say splatterpunk story. And I thought, okay, I sat here and wrote 4,263 words in an hour and a half. I've got to get into this thing now. This thing is bloody and visceral. It starts out with a rape scene.
Ooh.
The ending, we'll say the finishing part of a rape scene. And it's okay, I've got to get in now. And I still did not get in. And the editor's a very, very, very nice guy. He's published me before, and it just, on one hand it hurts, but then you're like, you know what? Maybe it wasn't fit for this. Try elsewhere. Send it to somebody else. It'll resonate with them. Okay? Something will, this story will fit somewhere. And sometimes rejection can be hard, can be a bitter pill to swallow. A really bitter pill to swallow, because you're like, I worked on this thing for hours. I edited it. I cut it down. I tightened it as much as I could. And you're like, still didn't get there. And you kind of feel a sense of emptiness. You feel a sense of not really good enough. And I'm sure all writers feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure all writers feel that way, where they're like, the story wasn't good enough, or I'm not good enough. And rejection can be a bitter pill to swallow, but in this business, you gotta have thick skin. You gotta have okay, on to the next one. You gotta kind of brush some things off. Okay, send it to somebody else. Like I said, it may not fit with this person, but it'll fit with that one.
And almost like rejection almost has to motivate you, like you were saying. It has to motivate you to prove people wrong, or even do better work. I mean, like, I mean, even when it comes to my YouTube channel, I've in the beginning, I'm pretty new to this, and I received some nasty comments on my first couple of videos. One even said, leave YouTubing to the professionals, or some shit like that. But it motivated me to prove those individuals wrong. It motivated me to keep on going, because if I would have thrown in the towel then I would have been proving those individuals right.
Oh yeah. You never want to. I mean, I've gotten like 2-page emails about a story I sent, and they just said it wasn't good enough. Go do something else. Don't be a writer. And there was one editor that sent me a reply that said, "You suck." I'm like,
wow,
okay, fine. That's your opinion. I mean, you're not going to hit the bullseye every time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, no one's going to hit the bullseye every time, and we just got to keep going and just kind of saying, "Hey, you may not like it, but others do." I mean, when it comes to YouTube channels, when it comes to writing, anything like that, they may not like it, somebody else will.
I agree, and you can't take it, by being a creator in general. You can't take shit personal. I mean, you can take it personal because some people just put some asshole shit, but a lot of people are actually giving you pretty good constructive criticism, and as a creator, you got to listen to that sometimes. Sometimes what people are saying might actually help you grow.
Yeah, I mean, if you remember last time we talked about my book,
Mm-hmm.
Dead River, my zombie novel, Dead River, I got a 2-star review because somebody got angry about a line of dialogue that supposedly attacked the Democrats in gun control. And it didn't have anything to do with gun control at all. It was like a throwback to the Hills Have Eyes remake, if you remember that movie.
Yes.
There's a scene where the big brother is checking a gun, and he's like this here, and he's, make sure it's loaded. And there's Aaron Stafford. He's kind of got a phone. He's trying to get a good signal to call AAA. And the big brother goes, "Hey, you ought to try this." And he's like, "Whoa, be careful with that thing." And he's like, "Oh, it's okay. It's not going to hurt you." And, Bob comes out. He's played by Ted Levine. And he comes out and he goes, "Son, he's a Democrat. He doesn't like guns." Now, see, I kind of thought that was kind of funny.
It was, yes.
So when I put that line of dialogue in there, it was the scene where Colin finds the 3 kids, and he's like, and the younger boy Jason's like, "Hey, I want a gun." And his sister's like, "If Mom and Dad found out I gave you a gun, they'd kill me." And Colin looked at her and said, "What are your parents, Democrats?" I got a 2-star review and a 2-line ass ripping for that. I'm going, Jesus, can't you take a joke?
Well, I can imagine as an author though, like, especially in horror, which horror is meant to offend the people. So I feel like if you're easily offended, then stay the fuck away from horror, right?
Can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen.
Stay the fuck away from horror. Like, if you're easily offended by anything, horror is not for you. Stay the fuck away from horror. But but as a writer, I mean, I run into this too. Do you feel like you almost kind of have to filter or edit or whatever yourself to fit into the PC culture?
Yes and no. Like, because I remember when we read horror novels, there was no trigger warnings in them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if you picked up Jack Ketchup's Off Season for the very first time, there was no trigger warning. Okay, correct. There was no, this book includes child abuse. This book includes cannibalism. This book includes this here and that there. They didn't put those. It was like, here's a book, read it at your own risk. Don't like it, bring it back.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't have trigger warnings when we were young. I mean,
No.
when you watch like a Freddy or Jason movie on cable TV, you'd be like, you would see like, viewer discretion is advised. This movie contains scenes that may be too graphic for young viewers. And, you'd be like, it's cable TV. You guys still aren't going to show anything. You're still going to blur out the dumb blonde girl's breast. You're still going to blur out Jason jamming the scene in Jason Lives where he jumps down from the tree and hacks those guys' heads off. They still blurred that out. They still cut it out. It's like, why give us a trigger warning if you're going to cut the scene out? And to me, I mean, trigger warnings, they apply for a reason, and yet some of them don't. Like if you read a scene that triggers a bad part of your childhood, that can bring back some really nasty memories. That can make you depressed. It can make you frustrated. It can make you cry because you're like, this person went through what I went through. And just thinking about it, now I'm thinking about it. And in a way, trigger warnings can save a person's mental health, but yet it's like, when you read this, you got to know what you're getting into. It's like when you pick up Dead River, it's zombies. There's going to be gore. There's going to be, some sad scenes. There's going to be a lot of death. When you pick up Off Season, there's going to be a lot of gore. There's going to be a lot of really nasty, extreme horror in this. Actually, visceral horror in this. When you pick up Hellbound Heart, when we pick up Hellbound Heart, the first thing we think of is Hellraiser. But then you're like, okay, well, this is, okay. We weren't given trigger warnings, and to me, it's just like, if you're going to buy a book and you know what's in it, you've read the back, so you know what you're getting into.
Exactly.
It's like you're taking a risk.
But it's entertainment, right? Like I mean, whatever you write in your books, Brian, it's not who you are. Listen, I don't know you. I mean, but you might be a killer, really, but I don't think you. You know what I mean? But it's not who you are. It's not stuff that you actually believe in. It's even like when I explain to people, I'm like, some of the stuff that I say on my channel, like the cursing and stuff, right? It's so off the wall. If you met me in person, this is not who I really am. This is bits and pieces of who I am, but this is for entertainment purposes. I'm a pretty reserved, quiet person. If you actually met me in public, but the Travis in real life being on this YouTube channel, no one would fucking watch it. No one would watch it. Like it's all for entertainment.
And I mean that's where we kind of as authors, I think we tend to write that kind of stuff because we went through that bad experience before. We went through some of us went through child abuse, some of us went through spousal abuse, some of us went through a lot of things in our childhood, and writing tends to help us. Now, I'm not against gun control. I used to be a Democrat. I really don't care. I mean, I used to be politics, front, but now I'm like, I really don't care because whoever gets in there is not going to make one side of the country happy and make the other side of the country happy and vice versa. So, I mean, and, I'm all for gun control. I'm all for protecting family. I believe we should have the right to bear arms. We should have guns to protect our family. But I don't think we need AK-47s.
I agree.
We don't need AR-15s. We're just trying to shoot someone. We're not trying to shoot the Slender Man.
We're not trying to fight an army. There's not a whole army that's going to be coming up and breaking our house. To me, depends upon where you live. I had a person tell me that in the South, you have to have a person hurt you before you are allowed to shoot them. They break into your house, they punch you, then you have the right to shoot them.
I'm like, that's not how some Southerners feel. You know, man breaks into their house, he better be praying to God because that's who he's talking to next. You know, they're going down without a warning shot. They're going down without anything. But I mean, like, when you think about it, we're not. Yeah, like you said,
Mhm.
we're not the people we are when we write.
Mhm.
You know, because I'm the same way, quiet, reserved. I stick to myself. I don't really speak to anybody a hell of a whole lot. I'm in my own little corner of the world.
Mhm.
But when I'm writing, I'm a different person. I'm telling a story. I'm entertaining people. Yeah, you're going to cross some lines. You're going to press some personal buttons. You're going to hit some sensitive spots. But I mean, you got to know what you're getting into.
Exactly.
You know.
100%. Now, Brian, this is something that I brought up in my last couple of interviews with indie horror authors, and that's what the fuck is going on in the indie horror author community. There's a lot of crazy shit going on. I mean, you got fucking men who are sending naked pictures of women, sexual offenders. You got motherfuckers who are stealing money from their authors with presses and so forth. What is going on right now? This seems like there's a lot of toxicity going on in the indie horror author community right now.
It's a lot. It's a lot to kind of to work out, to kind of puzzle together. Because you're like, okay, why are they doing this? Like, I sent a story into Psychotoxin Press to be in one of their anthologies. Well, because of something Christopher Pelton did, I'm not sure what it was. I think it was he harassed some people,
Mm-hmm.
and they just kind of, and then they're like, okay, well, we're going to give the anthology to these people, and they're going to run it. And myself and a writing couple, they were like, well, we don't like the fact that they use the N-word, and we don't like the fact that that they're letting an author use the N-word and the word retard. She didn't like it because she used to teach, or she once taught, or she still does. I'm not sure. Children with mental disabilities. She taught kids that were in developmentally handicapped classes, and some of them were not. And you just don't. The word retard is starting to become very offensive nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, and that doesn't really show. It doesn't come off as good PR if you're going to let somebody do that, And I mean, I feel the same way about, like, how can I say this? Dog abuse, child abuse. There needs to be a reason why it's in the book.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to go, never mind, but it's just a lot of touchy subjects with a lot of touchy people, and those that tend to back out of projects always get the finger pointed at them, and they're like, "You're the ones that are ruining horror community. You're the ones that are the what do they call them? Oh man, I saw the word yesterday, and I had a story back. I forgot what it was, but we have the wrong thinking. We're wrong because we step out of a project that uses those two words. I don't like the N-word. I hate the N-word. And I won't associate myself with somebody who uses that in a story. I won't. I'll be like, no, get away from me. Even if you're not the person that is writing the story, you're still not going to get me to be a part of the project because of this word.
See, but Brian, as a black guy, right? I don't mind if the N word is used in a movie or a story, right? But it has to be it has to be adding to the story. You know what I mean? It has to be. It can't just be randomly used. You know what I mean? Like it has to be set in a time frame where that word was used, or it can, or even if you are writing a book about some rednecks in the trailer park, and that's the type of words they would use. So you got to be as authentic as possible.
Yeah.
So I don't get offended by that type of stuff. But at the same time, if you just randomly put it in, then it's like, you know, I get it.
I mean, like if you're, I'm Time to Kill.
Mm-hmm.
That N-word movie. I mean, I lost count how many times they said that move. They said that word in the movie, and I'm like, okay, I understand why they're saying it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like it, but I understand it.
It's during that time. It's during that time frame, and that part of the country.
You'll see a lot of like of authors use it because they do like Southern noir, or they do Southern horror, or they have a horror story take place in the South, where they just say it like it's an everyday thing. Okay, and it's one of those things. Like and retard. That one makes me very, very uncomfortable. It's like, okay, you're telling this kid he's stupid. You don't tell a kid that they're stupid. You know? And it's like, to me, that's just, to me, the word retard is just as offensive as anything else out there. You know? It's like, to me, it's as offensive as calling somebody faggot, or if you call them like, you know, I mean, anything. Just, you know, think of it. You know, it's just as offensive, and it kind of makes you feel uncomfortable. You're like, oh, if I knew they were going to use that, I wouldn't have done anything with this, because, like I said, the other writer, she used to teach kids with mental disabilities, and that's where the retard word kind of like, it wasn't so much the N word, it was the retard word that she was like, no, I'm leaving. And I told her, I said, I'm going too, because that's just not right. And she was like, you know, thank you for joining me on that little crusade, because, you know, I agree with you. Using that kind of stuff, you're gonna, it's not going to be good. Just in my opinion, maybe I'm wrong. It's not good. It's not good PR. It's not going to make you look. I mean, to me, it's just offensive. You know, a lot of them are offensive. I mean, you look at, like I said, if you read a lot of Southern noir, that N-word comes up a lot. You know. And I'm sure with Latino horror and Latino noir, I'm sure, you know, I forget what name you're not supposed to call them, but that I'm sure that comes up, you know, and people are like, okay, yeah. I mean, if you are uncomfortable about a certain anthology that's going to have these words in it, don't crucify yourself because you walk away.
Yeah.
Okay, don't ever crucify yourself because you walk away. Walk away with a reason and a purpose. You know, that still doesn't make you wrong. That still doesn't, I mean, we're all, you know, different. We all have different skin. We all have it. Some of us are like, yeah, okay. But then some of us are like, not cool, man. Not fucking cool. You know?
I agree. All right. Brian, where can everyone find you, my friend, and your work?
Amazon.com/Brian J. Smith, or just look me up on Amazon.com. If you need the link, I'll send it to you.
Yep. So it will be done in the description box.
You can find some of my ebooks on there as well. Amazon. I'm on Unveiling Nightmares. I recently did 2 other interviews I did one yesterday. I'm everywhere on Amazon. If you like short stories, if you like anthologies, they're everywhere. They're everywhere.
Love it, man. Listen, Brian. Listen, you're more than welcome to come on my show.
Oh, believe
you
me,
already know this. This is home, man. This is home for you, man. Listen, everybody, get your asses over to unveilingnightmares.com, Amazon, and grab your copy of Strange Discovery and Other Strange Discoveries. And listen, and follow Brian and grab. Listen, Brian makes some great work. Go ahead and support indie horror and support Brian. All right, everyone. Thank you for coming to the Horror Rim. I'm Travis Bruce, and that's Brian J. Smith. We'll see you next time. Take care.